Our history is full of lost voices, people whose ideas and beliefs, fears and hopes are absent from official records. In the Voices of History series, contemporary writers from TNT combine research and imagination to bring these individuals to life in fiction and poems. When the ship Fatel Razack brought the first indentured immigrants from India to Trinidad in 1845, records say the first person to disembark was a 20-year-old named Bhuruth Suroop. Who was he? And what did his life in Trinidad turn out to be? Writer Rajiv Ramkhalawan brings his lost voice to life. Part of the NGC Bocas Lit Fest's 2022 Season of Independence, celebrating Trinidad and Tobago's 60th anniversary as an independent nation.
Trinidad, 1885. Not everybody live a life like me. When I say this, I know what I'm talking about. It feel like just yesterday, I bawled out my name at the Gulf of Paria, and the white man pressed dark ink into faded paper, circling his fingers meticulously along the sheet, and just like a piece of magic, my name appeared. Poof. Of course, I recognize it. I ain't too good with them reading and writing thing, you see, but I figure he was making log to account for all the coolies coming off the ship, and I is the first one off. I still remember the uncanny mix of curiosity and fear seeping into my bones as he pointed a finger like a white arrow suspended in the air, motioning me to move on from the withered dock towards a group of chalk white men waiting to take me to the plantations. The Prussian blue sea line became increasingly distant with each step I took, my wooden sandals tapping hard into the muddied earth as I hurried toward the strangers. Even the metallic waft of the water, as if the heads of 1,000 crocodile fish had been severed and their blood emptied into the sea, became less and less apparent the further inland I went. I had arrived. They split we up. Some went this way, some went that way, never to be seen again. I walked that same day we arrived at the plantation in Perseverance Estate and have been walking in sugarcane ever since. No rest, except Sundays. I go lie, I love it. How the midday sun does blaze into each knot of the curl of my naked back, coruscated cutlass in hand. It'll have no better feeling for me than the feel of black sludge tickling the soft inside of my hardened toes and the terrestrial smell of freshly chopped cane just as the sun started to come up. At first, I was timid, calculating every move I make with the cutlass. You know how much time the white man snatched me up for going too slow? I come face to face with him, his eyes the color of unripe Julie mangoes. He forget I am the one with the cutlass in my hand, not he. But after a time, it become rote, easy, and man was I a champion. A thing of art to see, to behold, a sweat-slicked torso dancing in the sun, girthy, cane stalks pitching all around as my cutlass whooshing over my head, rhythm and precision, a symphony. I come one with the soil, you know. It know me well, and I know it too. I a little bit slower now. The hairs on my scalp, sparse and gray, like cindered ash floating out from a cremation pyre. But I could still teach them youth a thing or two about Cain. Ah, boy, you had to cut the damn thing as close as possible to the ground, you know. But don't cut the root. Don't cut the root. And don't hack the cane. Respect it. Swipe the cutlass across the shoot in an angle motion and chop it with one chop. Let the air kiss the blade as you come down. There's a kind of spirituality to this, you know. Cain is the altar. You are the worshipper. I worshiping for 40 years now. Same thing over and over. Cutlass, Cain, sun, sludge, day in, day out. But I don't think I would have it any other way. When I left out, I had every intention of returning to India, but up to now, I never reached back home. White man give we land for we time here, and it proved too irresistible to walk away from. That's a true for everyone, to be honest. Some coolies went back, but I couldn't. Generation upon generation of my people have been landless and out. I can't go back to that. Sleeping under the stars? But I send warm messages for my mother, father, and brother with those returning to Oud. I press money into the palms of those few that I trust and tell them to find my mother. They ask me why you don't come and do it yourself, to return to the motherland, to return home. I think for a while, but don't tell them that I am a drifter, a journeyman who wash up upon this land of faint promise and tie myself to it forever. I smile and say I can't give up the land. In Oud, my feet would have been bound and anchored by the weight of an endless cycle of tuberculosis and famine. Perhaps I'm guilty of that, guilty of avoiding a certain and suffocating end. I fend for myself. I'm not saying I did the right thing, I'm just telling you the truth. The truth don't always set you free, as they say. Sometimes it imprisons you in shame. But I still left one life of starvation in India for another in Trinidad. There was hardly a day then or now that I did not go to bed a hungry man. But after a while, your body does get used to it. The brain have a funny way of figuring these kind of things out. How to do more with less, A boiling belly settles down eventually, or sometimes filled in other ways. You see, there was this girl, Kumari, a nice little Indian with big brown eyes that sparkled bright, bright when she laughed. She had the whitest set of teeth I ever see, and I loved to watch she giggle when the older woman and them bust joke about how the white man smelling fresh, like the hog they like to eat. Of course, the woman and them saying all this in Bhojpuri. We may be illiterate, but we are what to dead. Her job, together with a congregation of other coolie women, was to strip off all the leaves that had fallen and load them onto the iron cart. When they finished, you would see heaps and heaps of freshly cut cane jutting out in all mismatched directions on the cart. It was really something to see, if to no one else than just me. But thinking about it, it have to be just me. White man fool we as usual, tell we coming to sift sugar in the West Indies. Of course I signed up for that, thinking I was fooling the white man to come down here to do easy work, to rid myself of grueling work, the few times they'd even have work, in factories processing cheap leather and textile into ugly shoes. But white man too smart for me. No paradise we come to, just lies upon lies. Sifting sugar was part of it, but just part of it. He put we to work, digging trenches, planting cane, maintaining cane, harvesting cane, loading cane, long hours in the hot sun. At least the factories were covered. Me a make for that sun, Well, maybe I am. Maybe that is why I was number one off the ship. Perhaps I make for this. Destiny, perhaps. But the rest of them, they grumble every single day they work, creating songs about the white man and his nasty ways to pass the time on the fields. Some argue with the white man for more rice, more dal, more ghee. White man like he allergic to the word more, especially if it comes from a coolie. Kumari had come on another ship a few years after me. Her father was a strict Hindu man and forbade her to speak to me as I originated from the same village in India as them. She was from Bihar. As much as we similar, we different. Eventually though, her father became ill and agreed to the marriage as he did not want to leave his daughter exposed to the few ruffians on the plantation. Necessity sometimes obviates choice, but I ain't complaining. At nights, when I lay awake on the cool, limpid dirt floor, Kumari's warm head tucked into my rib cage, I hear my father's relentless coughs ringing in my eardrum. I swear the man's lungs must be fly out his chest by now. Man always have regrets. I am no different. Sometimes I rise up panting, only for Kumari to pull me gently into her bosom and nurse me asleep, rocking my head back and forth and caressing my jaunt cheeks. But I feel proud of the small slice of the world that is mine. Yes, I admit that I am riddled with inconsistency and troubled by the paradox of having one foot planted deep into the soil of this foreign country and another foot resting on the lands that I once called home. But at some point, foreign becomes home, and home becomes foreign. Kumari and I live a good life. Hard, but good. We make 5 children, all but one die before they become grown man and woman. Fever, dysentery, cholera, convulsive fits. We cry. We cry till our eyelids heavy and swell big, and there's no water left to fall. We ask the master to take care of them the way we only wish we could. After the white man give we land, Kumari and I band together with her mother and about 15 other coolies, and we build up a small barrack and live together. Hanging clothes throughout the barrack separate the rooms. We share cooking, cleaning. We share song, dance, latrines too. We settle in Kufa on flat lands where we could set up rice paddies and plant and cut cane also. We as a community is a hard-working and close-knit bunch. But that will come without its own kind of bacchanal, especially when man like Manu chopped the head off his presumed wife's lover one afternoon when everyone was out singing bhajans near the river. For my part, Manu, while often taken to ganja and babash, was never the jealous type. But I guess you could never tell with people, yes? Some say when the white man come to lock up his tail, he get crazy and slit his own throat. Some say in soft whispers, the white man cut his throat. Nobody know for sure. I often wonder whether the white man think that we coolies are only good for the fields, that we possess no other worldly desires or wants or even dreams. Perhaps he's right. He's white man after all. God bless he. He don't know what it is to starve. But there's a sliver of thought that creeps into the back of my head when the sun is highest and my blade is whooshing around and around. Kumari in the background filling water from a catchment dug into the dirt. Is there more to this story? Will our seeds be destined to the plantation life like we, never to yearn for more? Will we ever climb higher? Like how this beautiful green and yellow cane rises from the murky ground. Hi, my name is Rajiv Ramkhalawan, and I'm a writer from Trinidad and Tobago. My short story is entitled From Whence We Came. It's the story of the first indentured laborer off the Fatel Razack, which docked at the Gulf of Paria in 1845. His name was Bhuruth Suroop, and this story explores the next 40 years of his life.